Hello folks, and welcome back to Learn Synthesis with VCV Rack. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore. In the second series, we've been looking at some of the free modules, or free brands as they call them, of modules by different developers that are available for VCV Rack, and learning how they're used. We're currently looking at the Shebang modules, and tonight we're going to look at three of them. The arpeggiator, called the Talea Arpeggiator, the Qubit crusher, which is a type of bit crusher, and we're going to look at the collider, which actually we'll just look at it and you'll see what it does and what it sounds like, but it's cool stuff. Basically, since we're getting to the end of 12, I think there's going to be 2 more episodes, up to 13 in the second series. And then I'll start series 3 of Learn Synthesis with VCV Rack. And in that, I'm going to be focusing on some work with the DAW and, VCV Rack as an instrument and integrating them. I'll start there and then proceed on with all sorts of different synthesis topics after that. And I'll add in some different module libraries as we go, just so you can see what's out there. So anyway, let's get on with tonight's job. Okay, so here we are. I got the modules out, and some of these are, VCV modules, so we can kind of see how some of them work. But basically, we're going to go through them one at a time. We're going to start with the Qubit crusher here. Right now, I have pitch connected up to this oscillator, a regular VCV oscillator. We're coming out of the square wave output and going in to the Qubit crusher here. And then we're going out from that into the VCA. I have an envelope here just to shape the amplitude, and then we go out. I don't have the VCF, the filter, hooked up yet, but we're going to use that in a moment. But anyway, actually, before we do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually disconnect you and connect you. So we're going to hear just a square wave by itself. I know you probably remember what a square wave sounds like. But that's how it's sounding with just an envelope. And now we're going to pass it through the Qubit crusher. So I'm going to go in the out here and patch our square wave into, keep doing that, into the Qubit crusher. It has 2 basic controls. The bit rate, as it's called here, and then sampling rate, which is down here. Below each of those, there is a mod knob, and what that means is if you're going to use something outside to control it, plug it in here, and then you use this mod to gauge how much or what amount of control that outside controller is going to have over this. But it's basically the same as turning this dial. You could use like a MIDI controller to do it instead. So anyway, let's just hear what the sound result is. We don't hear much difference there because I have these turned all the way up. Let's see what happens when we start reducing the bit rate. It's right around here that we really hear a difference. Up in most of the range of this, we don't hear much of a difference. And what we hear here is kind of like basically a distortion produced by lowering the bit rate on the sound. Now I'm going to put it on sine wave just to see if we can get right about there. Here we're not hearing any change. Right about here we actually hear some. Now on a square wave you don't hear this distortion as much at this point because it's kind of covered up by the harmonic spectra of the square wave. And so, like I said before, if you take, for example, cable from there to, mod wheel. I have a mod wheel on my keyboard here. Now, if I play, move the mod wheel, we don't hear any change in sound until we turn up the knob here, which means more, how much does this input affect this? Okay, I was able to turn it off and on there a little bit. Let's turn it up even more and turn this down all the way. So now the down position of the mod wheel is crushing. And as I move it up, it doesn't. So that's really what this knob does here. It's turning up the amount, which means it allows you to go maybe the full range of this knob with your controller. I don't think, see, when you turn it down all the way, it's pretty much not letting me move off. So yeah, it is, you could probably use an inverter in between, I think, process, or there's got to be some module that has like just an inversion in between, so that way you could actually turn this up, and then your mod wheel would be the inverse of this, where basically it goes from no distortion in bit rate to distortion as you move it upward, which is just a little bit more user friendly. But we can disconnect this for now. Just wanted to show that. And here's a trigger. If you read that, it basically says that you could send a trigger message that will give you a random amount here. Let's say, for example, we just plug that up to the gate. So now each time I play, it'll give us a random amount here, but I need to turn this up once again. So it'll give us a random amount now. Doesn't seem to be randomizing it. It's like, as I press the key, it seems to give us a good amount here. Well, let me just read this again, just to make sure. I thought I read random before. Yeah, well, it says, no, it's just a bit rate input. Was I plugged into trigger before? No, this one does say trig. Okay, well, you can hear what that did. So it's basically, as I pressed the key, it seemed to be more distortion, and as I released the key, it started pulling it away again. So anyway, I'm going to turn this down, and let's turn down the it. Usually left is down and right is up, but basically this is like considering how much bits are you removing from the bit rate. And so that's why the lower end is giving us the effect. All right, so it's the same thing with this sample knob as well. So let's hear what this does. Oh, I let it go wrong. I've just about tuned it. Let's leave it there. Now let's press a different note. See, as I get lower, the pitch, the area of that distortion doesn't change that much. Now let's add a little bit of both. I like the beating sound that you get in there. Now this is on a sine wave. So let's put on over here on a square wave. Now, a lot of times there are bit crushers that are designed to give you like that vintage video game kind of sound from like 4-bit, 8-bit games. But this is a little bit more raucous than that. But one thing I did before recording the episode now is I decided to try to see what happens if you put a filter in between. A low pass. Okay. There we go. Like, let's say you want to play a melody in an area like this. You could kind of filter out some of the excess noise that you don't want. Now I do have the pitch going to the VCF, so the cutoff frequency is adjusting with the notes I play. Now, if we don't do that and initialize this, cutoff will stay in the same area no matter what note I play. So let's say I want to play a melody up in this range. We're starting to get to that video gamey sound. Ah, come on. Here we go. But yeah, you get so much like aliasing and stuff from reducing the sampling rate here, or an effect that sounds like that. And basically, here's the high pass. We're passing frequencies above the cutoff. I think it is best when the pitch is adjusted for the pitch of the cutoff, or frequency of the cutoff is adjusted for by the pitch being played. So I'm going to hook that back up. So anyway. It's just a little bit edgier than what I'm trying to get here. But anyway, you see what it does, and welcome to try it out for yourself. It's a free download, part of the Shebang series. I'm going to disconnect it, and we're going to move on to something else. Let's see, the gate's still hooked up to the envelope. Good. I think I will just delete it so it's not in the way here. I'll leave the filter here in case we want to use it. Let's see. So pitch is okay. What I want to do next actually is this guy here. Now we're going to take our pitch and go to the collider. There's a pitch in here. These are inputs for these different effects, the spread and randomness. This is where you send pitch in, and then you take that pitch out from here. Oh, come on. And go in here to the oscillator. And then we're going to come out. Let's do sine wave first. And I'm just going to put it straight into the... Okay. I'll put it into the filter, but because we might try this later. But what I'm going to do is do it low pass, but turn the cutoff all the way up. So we basically aren't going to be hearing the filter at all. So, but at least it's connected, so then I can use it when the time comes. Okay, everything else hooked up. Now there is a gate output here. Basically, what you can do, I'm going to do it one way, show you, and then do it another way. If you go to the shake input, that's basically its input saying trigger the collider. And we're going to hear what it does. But then it has a gate output. We're going to try this multiple ways. We're going to feed it into the gate input of our envelope. So the envelope kind of goes over it. And then we're going to try a couple other things, because there's a few things I noticed about this that would be good to know. So anyway, let's play. Now, I released the key, and that went on for about a second and a half longer. And now, even if I shorten my envelope here, I have no release time. Now the sound is really choppy. It's almost, and I released the key, and it lasted for like a second longer still. So what I'm going to do is bypass our envelope. And so now this envelope's not being used. The VCA amplitude control is being directed straight from collider. Okay, once again, sounds very choppy. And when I released the key, it kept going for another second or two. So I'm going to show you. We got the envelope back on here. And now we're going to connect the gate up. I do green for gates. Yep. We're going to connect it up to the gate on the MIDI input. So now when I press and release keys, this envelope is being governed by that, and the collider is no longer managing the gate, but we still have gate hooked up here, so it knows when to start playing and when to stop. I just released the key, and it released suddenly. And you notice how it doesn't sound choppy and fragmented anymore. Basically, that's what I decided earlier, is I prefer this patching here for it, to do it this way. Now I could increase the release time. I'm going to release now. Yeah, if we increase it more, I'm going to release now. Our envelope is in full control over this, so we're getting the effect. I kind of like the gate to go to the envelope and have it to have the full control. Of course, you do need to hook it up here, so that it knows when to turn on and turn off. It does have a button here that you can trigger it. Now we're not hearing it because the gate's not open. But if I hold a key, well, actually, I'd have to have its gate hooked up and so forth. But yeah, you have a trigger button for it here. And this is basically something that's like a trigger for it to stop, but start and stop. So it's really a gate here. And then the gate output here is here to control its own gate. But I prefer to use the ADSR envelope to control the gate. It's just, I don't know, it gives me more control. Now, this thing also has, like some of the other plugins in Shebang, you can control, you see it says C below. That doesn't change, but you can control modes of what gets played here. Now, at the same time, there's a certain degree of randomness. If I turn that all the way down, and then turn up spread, the spread is like the range. And the randomness, this seems to be a speed. No, it is just more randomness. See, whatever mode you select here, it'll stay within that. You have randomness down, and as you turn it up, the more it'll randomly go outside of the mode in its pitch selection of these colliding particles. I guess that's why it's called collider. It does have a velocity output too. I haven't actually tried to use that to see what it does. We can test that out real quick here. I didn't mean to delete audio. Let's put in the mixer, 4-channel mixer that will allow me take gate output here. We're going to take our, still don't have the filter on, but we're passing through it. There it goes in the input there, and now I need to put audio again because I deleted that. Okay, and then we're going to go out audio, and there we go. All right, so now our envelope I'm going to put up there is governing, like, even though we're just going into this channel of the mixer, it's governing all channels even though we're not using them. But basically the envelope does have control. But let's see, let's feed the velocity in here to see what it does. There's no velocity input, so it's not going to be reading MIDI velocity. Let me try disconnecting the ADSR. You could hear quietly there's a tone still there. Let's put its gate in again. So now its velocity and gate are both affecting the amplitude. Okay. Now we're getting static. So you don't get the tone of what you're using whenever you use its gate. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to go without that. Let's hook this back up. And you're already hooked up. So. Have a narrow range of notes that goes through. And then there's particles here. That's like the numbers of particles colliding around. But it's adding a bit of a crackle. Go to a different mode. Now here's another thing about it. I'm going to press a D key in a row. The first note you hear should be the D. And each time you hit it, it starts on about the same note. After that, it's going to different things. But if you do... There was a setting I had it on where you kind of heard the last note ring out a little bit more. And it would be a different one each time, so... Now I'm hearing crackling there. Let's see if we can, oh, stop it, adjust for that here. I'm going to move these over. Let's put in, oh, I don't know if it's me or my mouse. I think my mouse is getting a little bit, yeah, there's definitely something wrong. Okay, so I'm going to put in the process module that we've used before to eliminate artifacts. This should, see, coming out here, it's like a bunch of changing pitches. And if we go from one pitch to another, let me see here. No, this is in a little bit more smoothly. Perhaps we won't get the crackles. So I'm basically coming in here, going out slew. This is what we used before to get rid of artifacts with velocity differences in amplitude. And we got rid of the crackles. Oop, I heard one there. Now this is on sine wave, so we were able to reduce it a bit, but this is on sine wave. So let's try a more complex waveform. How about the square wave again? You're basically getting pitch areas because of all the changing pitches that are coming out of it. I'm going to leave that process in there and just slide this over. But yeah, this did smooth it out a bit. Playing the same key over and over again here. I'll do a D over and over. You're not always going to get exactly what you're playing. So anyway, I think that's enough of that. I think I can just delete this and it won't cause problems. Just by the way, both of the modules that I've used at this point, they are monophonic, so you would need multiples of them. Like I showed in the second series, episode 2. I did it with Bifaco, but it's the same principles. Using a split and a merge on either side of these. The VCVs are polyphonic or polyphonic capable. If you wanted to be able to play more than one note at a time. Now, I'm going to hook up here our pitch to the input, the oct in, on the arpeggiator, the Talea Arpeggiator. I'm going to keep our gate going here, but I am going to hook up the gate here for the arpeggiator. I'm going to keep it going to our envelope because I do want that envelope to shape the sound that comes out. Although, you know what? Hold on. Let's just at least attempt it. Since there's a gate output from here, and we don't really need... Maybe we'll leave the slew there and see what happens with it, but I'm going to cut it out for now. So we're going in pitch. And we're going in gate. We're coming out pitch here. Pitch into the oscillator. And then the gate is going to go to the envelope. So we're going gate in here and gate out to the envelope, so the arpeggiator is going to control the gate. Now, first thing is going to happen if I press a key and keep pressing keys, you're not going to get things working right until you engage polyphony here, because this module is polyphonic. So I'm going to select 4-note polyphony. And now I'm going to press D, F sharp A, just a major triad. Now the pattern it plays in going between those notes is selected here. I'm going to zoom in just to see the words. You'll see a second mouse cursor. The big one is actually me. Pattern here is kind of random. It's random as to which of those three notes it's going to go to. Now this is as played. When you hit the keys, you're probably not going to get them all exactly at the same time. So I'm going to try to do 1, 3, 5 in order. And then that's what it's doing. Now, a thing I have noticed is before and after, you hear this sound. It's a little bit weird. I've been playing around with this before recording, and I wasn't able to get rid of it completely. So you have your up, down, and then as played, and a random one. Let's just start at the top to look at some of these. This is a trigger that you can manually trigger it to happen. And the external basically allows you to send a tempo in. Since we have a gate hooked up, we don't need to worry about this, but basically if I click it, it's off now. Now it's on. All right, and so you have a tempo input and a slider here. Let's say 120 BPM. That actually sounds slower than 120 BPM to me. 120 should be something like that. Yeah, that's 120, okay. All right, and then the gate is basically how long each note is held. All right, and you have a hold here where if you want to play, here's the chord again. I release the keys, but it's still playing because I pressed hold here. And then when I click it, it goes away. So that's a way to hold an arpeggio. Now, let me show you something, the way this can be used. Like, let me just play D, F sharp. Now I'm going to press A and D. And now it's doing that. Basically, you can't see my hands, but what I did is I pressed one set of notes, then another. And with hold down, I basically could release the keys and it wouldn't stop. So if you wanted to just kind of like go. And as you go around pressing notes, it keeps the pattern going until you press new notes and it starts doing that pattern on the next notes. Here's your octave range. polyrhythm mode, basically. Well, now it's not arpeggiating. But there is a delay. I'm hitting the keys and it comes in a little late. This was working a little differently when I was playing with it earlier. Here, let's put polyrhythm on again. And it's weird. What's happening is I'm playing the notes, but it responds late, and I don't hear any polyrhythms. Not doing what it was doing earlier. Maybe you have to have more octaves. It's weird. Sometimes it just does things you don't quite expect. All right, but shebang, it's been like that. Okay, so we got rid of those. We have here, oh yeah, the patterns that we already explored. So let's see here. Let's see what happens when I release things here. Like if you play, I'm going to release one note at a time. That's weird. I don't know what causes that fluttering sound. It just does it. Let's try passing it through a slew here. Because it needs the polyphony in order to play multiple notes. It needs polyphony from here to go in and play these notes. But what's coming out is really monophonic music because it's one note at a time. Except when the polyrhythm thing was on, it was playing the chords, which was weird. Maybe it has something to do with the mode of the polyphony. I'm going to try that a little bit here. I think the polyphonic mode I'm using is reset. Let's try rotate. So the slew has not eliminated that low sound, but it makes it sound cooler. Yeah, that's, yeah. All right, let's try the polyrhythms again. Yeah, and with polyrhythm mode, there is a delay. Like I'm hitting it quickly here and releasing, and it's not even doing it. Oh! Don't tell me. How did that happen? Oh, no. Wait. Let's see. Oh. Okay. Well, let's move you out of the... This is strange. Can I close this and yeah. Don't give me yes or no questions. What's gonna cancel when there we go. On this one, we'll say wait because everything's here. All right. All right. Well, we're back where we were. Yeah, I've found at least during the rare times that VCV Rack does go out, I mean, you hit no, and I've always been able to get back to where I was, except for the last episode, because I hit yes instead. But anyway, let's see here. Okay, yeah, the polyrhythmic mode is interesting, but you get a delay when you can't see that or feel that right now, but when you try it yourself, you'll feel it. Like you hold down the keys, there's a little delay before it starts up. Yeah, all the shebang stuff tends to be a little bit wacky. But let me do something here. All right, so it is a cool little arpeggiator. And what we can do is hook up, for example, the mod wheel control here to our external input. Oh, not playing. Let me zoom in here. Once again, the big mouse cursor is me. External clock. Yeah, I was hoping to just control the tempo here. So you really need a clock for that. We got one. Polyrhythmic clock from Shebang will do. We won't use any of the polyrhythms. We'll just bring this in. Although I'm really not accomplishing much here in that this knob would give me the same thing, and now I got to hit that to start. I'm no longer getting arpeggiations. Now it's working. The external clock was getting rid of the arpeggiations. Well, I had the amount turned down. Let's just test this out so that way you guys will know. I had to go up to like a large amount of BPM, and it certainly wasn't this. Weird. Yeah, the shebang stuff has a few, I think a few quirks here and there. Okay, let's see if the mod wheel can affect it here. No, it's not a clock message, so no. I was hoping to affect the speed dial here. Well, this is a mount, or no. Yeah, I was hoping to affect this, but no. Basically, this is an external clock in, and when we were using Shebang's own clock, it was not quite right. But anyway, not much you could do with anything else coming in. So anyway, I'm just going to show you what we're going to do next 2 episodes. Yeah, zoom in. Ignore the small mouse cursor. We've already done Nutrinode, but here's 2 things we haven't covered yet, and I think we'll spend 1 episode. Maybe I'll do them both in 1 episode, but we have this Cosmos. This is the Cosmos, right? Orbitones, as it's called. Well, it is kind of like space, and it's orbits affecting outputs. Nutrinode we've done already. That one I really like. And of all these things, it's probably my favorite. This grid is pretty cool though too, from the first of these Shebang episodes. Now this one here, this is called Cosmosis. Kind of like you place nodes and it scans left to right, playing what you indicate. So I think I could cover this and this in 1 episode. The other stuff are just kind of like blank panels or light spectrum panels. This actually receives input, and I think maybe what I can do is do all 3 of these in the next episode and end on 12 episodes in this 2nd series. But don't worry, series 3 will start up right away, going on to more things. VCV Rack. Yeah, I am probably going to post a video, or actually a community post on the community page, seeing if people would be interested in me also doing a 2nd series simultaneously, where I'll do an episode of this series one day, and then the next day an episode of that series, and alternate back and forth. I was thinking of doing a series on synthesis in Ableton. So let me know in the comment section if you have an opinion about it. Otherwise, I'm also going to be putting up a community post about it, so you can let me know there what you think. Okay, well, please like, share, subscribe. Help me out with this channel. We're growing at a steady pace, but be like, but nice if it was faster. So if you can, just hit the like button, please do. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share on social media, because I don't do much social media myself. Could certainly use any help that I can get. Until next time, take care and stay free.